heavy rain today. Although a lot of people are probably still shopping, so they'll be indoors with the Black Friday and Cyber Monday stuff. And what's going on today? I guess the first thing I read was kind of interesting. Apparently there's a drone museum that opened up recently, but there were delays before just because of things like shutdowns and all that. This one here says, first ever drone museum celebrates grand opening in Caddo Mills. After a year and a half of delays due to COVID-19, the Aviation Unmanned Vehicle Museum, the world's first museum dedicated to the history of drones, had its grand opening in Caddo Mills Saturday. Containing more than 40 restored historic drones, the museum's exhibits were built from a personal collection that belonged to the late Harold Red Smith of Parker, Texas, a retired lieutenant colonel with the U.S. Air Force who was tragically killed by a drunk driver in 2017 before his dream of opening a museum could be realized. After Red's passing, his children and grandchildren took on the daunting task of not only restoring the drones, but also doing research on them and organizing the thousands upon thousands of parts, some dating back to the late 30s, that Red had amassed over the years. That's kind of cool. Basically, people fulfilling some person's dream which they could not complete because of unfortunate situations. So you can see on the site, there's basically a lot of pictures of these drones. They're all military-esque, I guess you could say. They're not meant for things like recreational types of drones or model aircraft, to my understanding anyways currently. It makes me wonder too, just by looking at some of the pictures, do people actually do this with their manned aircraft when they're being used for military purposes? Putting like pictures like this, drawing cartoon faces? Is that done afterwards, or is this a way to distract people in the battlefield? Like, hey, what's that? It's kind of an interesting phrase to think about here. It says, our mission is to honor the men and women in our military and the private sector that paved the way for remotely piloted vehicles, more commonly known today as drones. AUVM strives to educate the public about the beginning history and users of unmanned aircraft vehicles, or UAVs. It shows you how long this stuff has been in existence for, and they even say here they're known today as quote drones. It makes you wonder there wasn't huge hysteria and stuff way back then, right? Whereas today it is. Even if it's someone flying something for fun, they classify everything as a quote drone. Everyone thinks it's like military, I guess, oriented when it isn't. So it makes you wonder if stuff like this would actually educate people to say, oh, it's completely different. Like this guy's just flying for fun. And I guess for that topic of delays because of things like COVID that prevented that museum from launching, it's kind of interesting reading how I guess recently there's going to be more shutdowns. I know here they apparently block travel from certain places because there's a new variant. It's kind of a weird name, Omicron or something like that. Kind of sounds what, high tech. It says here though, the presidential COVID-19 task force informs the public that 4 cases of new COVID-19 variant, now known as B11529, were reported and recorded on Monday, the 22nd of November. The 4 cases were detected among travelers who were tested SARS-CoV-2 positive on routine pre-travel testing. The preliminary report revealed that all 4 had been fully vaccinated for COVID-19. As part of the continuing investigations into the virus to establish and contain its local transmissions, contact tracing has revealed close contacts who are currently awaiting their results, and the public will be informed regarding the outcome of the exercise. Now this is an official, I guess you could say, release in terms of what's going on, and I was reading before how a lot of places were saying this variant was created by possibly someone who had HIV. But it says here, the Presidential COVID-19 Task Force wishes to further dispel assertions made by some circulating social media reports associating these cases with HIV plus status of the participants. Contrary to these reports, in which one newspaper claims that one case was from an HIV participant, is totally false, has no HIV status of the clients was associated with these results. So are there going to be proposed shutdowns and stuff everywhere again? Who knows? But at this rate, it's just never ending, huh? And a quick question when you guys asked if I could show what I do for my data management for things like my videos, and do I actually back up all of my drone videos literally? Yeah, I do. Literally every single one I've kept in hard drives. Lots and lots of external hard drives. I don't know, there's not really much to show. Basically, a bunch of them hooked up to the computer, for example. There's so many different letter drives. When it fills up, like recently, I just have to keep using more and more memory, and I keep every single one of them. I don't think it's the most functional and practical system in general to organize, because usually when you organize stuff, you should say, okay, here's my folder for, say, sunlight type stuff, I guess drone shots. These are ones around the lake and so forth. But the way I do it is I literally just label it folder 1, 2, 3, depending on, like, let's just say the day that I flew. So you can see how many different folders there are for, like, for example, the Mavic Pro or the Mini. When it comes to things for the regular camera, then I would actually have, this was day, for example, I don't know, like 1600 or whatever. And every single day, there's all these files saved up with the videos, and again, I keep every single one. There's been so many that I haven't actually used, like in terms of everything, obviously, because many times, even when I fly the drone, I capture, like, what, 20 minutes worth of video for each battery, and I cut it down to like maybe a minute or so. It makes it a little difficult, because if I was to create things like a year-end video, I literally have to kind of remember, okay, this day there was footage like this. I think it'll be good in terms of what I'm trying to, I guess, portray and stuff like that. But there's no actual separation in terms of, again, like these are all these types of footages. It's literally just based on the actual day. So I'd have to actually go back there many times, look at the whole footage and say, oh yeah, this is the right one. Unless someone has a better solution. But I guess kind of like in relation to that museum story, why keep everything? Because I guess you just never know. Maybe one day people will say, oh, there's something that happened on this day, and they're wondering if anyone actually has anything that could show you what it was like. And sure enough, I would have something on the day depending on what you're looking at. Same thing with things like the drone footage and stuff. It's kind of funny too, when you look back you can say, wow, this is what that looked like even though it was like, what, only a year or two ago. Like some places there was so much trees and so forth, now all of a sudden it's gone. Or like a building, it got burnt down, so it's not there anymore. So you never know. Once you capture it, it could be gone forever, so it could be rare. With how much footage I have too, you could literally create like so many different types of separate, I don't know, channels and stuff like that. Because there are some channels where it's literally just people with a camera walking through an area, like a walking tour. I could do that. I could have everything, nothing but animals and so forth. Everything, nothing but just like a drone video. Or same thing, maybe if it's just me talking about what's happening during the day, like news-wise, stuff like that. It could have like a separate thing like that as well. But there's the flexibility there to go back in time if need be. Which makes me think too, because I've been thinking how I could make things artistically more challenging, if that's the right way to say it. And the reason for that is, it's kind of like anything in life. Let's pretend you are doing some kind of exercise or something like that. You need to push yourself in some ways if you want to start gaining more muscle mass or whatever it is, strength. You can't just keep doing what's really comfortable and what you're used to. So I've been thinking what I could do to actually push myself in that way. Alright, looks like there's no flying today. I guess it's time for the archive. Alright, see you guys later.